Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and a new tutorial video. We are here on my Whitcomb Park farm save. I just spent some time messing around with the slurry pipe system mod here. And I found that it was a little bit tricky to get used to and kind of figure out. So we are on the most up-to-date version, which is version 1.0.0.9. So 1009. And this is the slurry pipe system by Oscar Mods. Brilliant mod. But you gotta kind of figure it out first. And I was looking on YouTube and there doesn't seem to be anything on there that is helpful in regards to this mod. So he has recently added quite a bit. And we're just gonna kind of go through it a little bit here. So I had an issue. I filled it up fine and I was spreading fine. And then I come back and I was filling up to like 40% and it said I had a clogged hose. So I was like, what in the world? So then I go on to his itch page, read all through all the patch notes. Looks like there's an addition of water now. So you can fill your tanker up with water, add it back into your slurry reservoir or your whatever you want to call it, your slurry silo, and it actually thins it up. There's also a thing called crust, so the longer it sits unagitated, it's going to build up crust as well. And the only way that that can be reduced is by using a mixer. So Oscar has actually added a ramp to this, what I want to call it, manure pit here, slurry pit. On that side of the barn, there is a mixer that actually works in the mod hub. It's like a Pichon mixer. It is, I will show you right now. It's this one here. It's a B-Mix 80 s.p.s. So yeah, it actually works with the slurry pipe system. Get that right on the in-game mod hub. Works completely fine. I have it hooked up to my tractor actually, so I had to actually go all the way around over to where you are, kind of go into that field there and back it up here. And we'll go over that in a second. So I just want to go through, start off, how do we load a mixer, or how do we load a spreader? So I first off have a pipe blade here. So if you come up over here, I'll bring up my menu. I am just going to remove this pipe. So you come up here, hit R to lay a pipe, and then you hit R again to finalize the pipe. And then I'm going to come up here because we're close enough to that one. I'm going to come up to my mixer, hit R again, and that connects the pipe. One very important thing is that you need to open the valve now. So you need to hold down R until it changes in the top left there. So now the valve is actually open and we can move slurry through it. Now, we're going to get in our tractor. We're going to fire it up. It's going to beep at you because I have the advanced damage mod in and it needs a service. Disregard. So, we are on vacuum. Right, so we see up here, the pump is actually on vacuum. The default keybind is actually Y. I've remapped it to M because it does conflict with the precision farming mod, because the Y on the precision farming mod is actually the way you change your application rate, and it does conflict. At least it did for me. I couldn't actually change my flow. So if we want to pump our slurry out of this tank, we need to make sure, like we did, we open the valve. Then we need to hit M and make sure we're on vacuum. And then we need to hit N to turn the PTO pump on. So it's going to start building pressure here, negative pressure. And once it gets to about 0.4, it'll start actually pumping. You can, I haven't noticed if it actually matters or not if it's fully built up. It builds up to -3. If that helps it go faster or not, I'm not sure. But at like 0.4, it will start pumping. You can build it up first. You just would need to make sure that you have your valve turned off so it doesn't actually pump anything in. So that essentially is how you fill your spreader. Once we get this filled, we could probably just stop it here. So I'm going to hit N again. It's actually continuing to pump. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be, but we're actually going to close the valve. We are no longer pumping. So we stop in here, see? No longer pumping, and then we're going to disconnect the pipe. Now, we're going to go out to the field. I'm currently working on spreading slurry on my just harvested barley field. You can see here there's a little screen now. It tells you what's in here, tells you your crust percentage, your thickness percentage, which continues to go up the more you pump out. It was actually at 20%, I think, before we started pumping. So the more we pump out, the more that's going to go up, which is going to, the more that thickness goes up, the higher your chance of blockage is. Like I said, I think it was only at like 46% thickness and it started to block it. So now that we're in the field, we are going to want to make sure that we turn our pump to pressure. We want to turn the PTO on, and then we actually need to hit Z to make sure the spreader valve is open. So now it just starts spreading. There is no hitting B like you would base game to turn your spreader on. That B does nothing. If you want to turn it off, you hit Z, because that's your spreader valve. Hit Z again, we turn it on. That is how that works. I'm going to actually turn it off. I'm going to hit N. If you don't hit Z and N to turn the valve off and the PTO off, you're just going to keep driving at working speed. I'm going to turn those on. I'm going to keep spreading on where I was. Next, once I get this emptied, I will meet you guys down at the creek, and we are going to actually fill this tanker up with water using the pipes, and we're going to bring it back to the farm, and we're going to pump it into our pit to reduce the thickness of our slurry. Alright, so we are driving up to the river right now. If you guys aren't aware, this is kind of the spot right behind the shop, in a way, the store there. Like a little drive here. Yeah, anyway. It's not what you're here for. So, we're in the river now. So, because we want to pump something in, we need to make sure that our pressure is sent to vacuum. Let's connect a hose. There we go. We want to open our valve. And then we want to turn our PTO on. It is going to build pressure, and then it should start filling with water. So that is how that works. We're going to fill this up with water, and then we're going to bring this back to the farm, and we're going to pump this into the slurry pit, and we'll see how much our thickness reduces once we pump some more slurry back into our slurry spreader. Alright, we are back at our farm now. We're just backing up to the slurry pit here. We are going to hit R to connect. We are going to hold R to open our valve. And then we're going to come in here and we are going to make sure that the pump is on. Okay, so now we are back here and we are pumping our slurry. Now, for some reason I don't actually have to turn my pump on or off. I don't know if that's just a bug or that could be how it was meant to be. So we're just gonna close the valve there. We're gonna disconnect. Okay, and then if we remember, the crust, when we last pumped, it said 12%, and the thickness was 26%. So, let's hop over to the Massey. Let's fire that up. So this is actually the mixer. We're going to fire that up. We're going to turn it on. And we're just going to drop it down and let it run for a little bit. And hopefully that will actually reduce the amount of crust that we have when we pump back, or we pump the slurry back into the tanker. We're just going to turn it off. We're going to hop back over here. Okay, so now we're going to pump from the pit into our tank. So we are going to make sure that our valve is open by holding R. Hop into our tractor. We are going to make sure we are on pressure. Then we are going to hit N. Start building pressure. Oh, sorry. Wrong. We're going to make sure we're on vacuum because we're sucking in. And then we're going to start building negative pressure so that the slurry starts going in. And then, so you remember, we did have 12 thickness on the crust, or 12% crust, so that did not actually seem to lower that at all. I can guarantee you it does, though, because when I was testing this out, it did lower it. I'm just wondering if maybe 12% might be the lowest you can get. I'm not sure. But the thickness did go down from 26 to 12 with one full tanker load of water, which is a little over 10,000 liters. But you see, as we're pumping, the thickness is continuing to go up. So the more you pump, the thicker it's going to be, which means eventually you're going to have to pump some water in, or else your blockage risk is going to start getting higher and higher, and your pipes are going to block, and you will no longer be able to pump anything out of your slurry pit. So those are some really cool additional things that this mod adds. The next thing, if we just turn this off, come over here, we're just going to turn off the valve. I'm going to show you something else that has been added. Okay, so now I am going to show you actually the manure separator that has been added to this mod, which is pretty cool. I'm just going to set it, I don't know, right, I don't know where to set it. I'm going to set it right here, I guess, for now. I know, very random spot, I understand. But that's where we're going to set it. I have not tested this a whole lot, so I actually have no idea how this really works, but my guess is that you should be able to lay a pipe, right, just like you would. I'm actually going to disconnect these ones, lay that pipe. Let's see if we can remove this one. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so we're connecting there. My guess is that you connect these somehow, and eventually you start getting separated manure. There's a screw tightness thing going on here, so that you can, I don't know exactly what that means, but then you push O. Connection in the outlet pipes. Interesting. So, yeah, again, I haven't tested this a whole lot, so that is essentially a just added thing. Maybe we'll do a whole separate video on this, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys how the slurry system works with a slurry tank. That's essentially it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully that is helpful. Like I said, I was struggling, so I was like, all right, I'm probably not the only one, and I've read comments and different things in different discords, lots of people asking questions and stuff. So here's a video for that. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully it was helpful. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.